All right, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to another Farm to Fork Live episode this Friday morning. We are excited to be hosting another conversation focusing on food and ag issues facing the capital region. This episode, we're going to be talking about the emergency food response and what individuals and organizations are doing to combat and address the issues of the most vulnerable community members. This morning, we're going to start with Julia Burrows, who is a part of the City of Sacramento's mayor's office. She has an amazing resume and background in supporting high priority issues and policy engagement, and is going to set the stage for us regionally of what is happening and what we're doing. So Julia, you could go ahead and bring your screen on. That would be great. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure you guys have many things happening going on.
You're welcome. I'm accompanied by my puppies, Davis and Mia, who think that this whole COVID thing is because they can have all of us owners at home with them all day. So they are on all my Zoom calls with me. Good morning, everyone. I'm Julia Burrows. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor to Mayor Darrell Steinberg. And I first want to express condolences to the 32 families in Sacramento County that have lost loved ones to the COVID virus since this started in California. We have 853 cases in Sacramento County right now. So stay strong. Those individuals that are recovering, we are with you, and there are resources through public health and all of us to help you recover. With that, I was asked to talk about 4 things in 8 minutes, so I will go very quickly. The first is the approach of the mayor's office and how we're delivering resources. Second, some success stories and accomplishments. Third, challenges and sticking points. And fourth, a call to action from our community. So first, the approach of Mayor Steinberg's office, and on his behalf, Saturday, March 14th, our team gathered when we knew that the stay-at-home orders were coming, and we prioritized what we should work on first. And for the mayor, his 2 top priorities were sheltering our homeless and taking care of those individuals who are unsheltered. He has a goal of having 1,000 people come inside and to keep them sheltered even after the COVID crisis. The second priority is food access for our vulnerable populations. And there are many of you, including those other speakers on the line today, that are already doing that, but we needed to amplify this. And by vulnerable populations, we identified seniors and medically fragile, our homeless, again, children K through 12 who usually have most of their meals at school, refugee and immigrant communities, foster youth, and those financially unstable. And we've seen that population grow as the unemployment numbers have gone up over time. So in standing up the response, the mayor has 3 roles, and the office supports Mayor Steinberg in that. The first is to convene. The second is to fundraise and match resources. And the third is to use his bully pulpit to shine a light on the needs of the community. So the mayor is our marketer in chief, and you've seen him do Facebook Live broadcasts every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then special posts and broadcasts, trying to use that platform that he has with our various partners. So a few of the things that we have done since the COVID crisis has started is in the convening power. Every Wednesday, we have a call which includes our food banks, some nonprofit partners, our school districts, and those that are already doing the work like Meals on Wheels, ACC. And we do a lightning round robin for an hour, and we try to match those that have resources like paratransit in their delivery capacity with those that need resources like those that need meals. And for example, Blake with his senior boxes delivered. So we're trying to match those in this convening that we do every Wednesday. We will be expanding that to include a community-based organization group with Chef Tisha and Amber pulling that together. But it's really important that everybody hears what everybody else is doing. And Ballet Vision has already been doing that through these webinars as well. On the fundraising side, a lot has happened. Councilmember Chenier launched Donate for Sacramento, which has raised $1.2 million since it was launched just a couple of weeks ago. And there have been grants given, for example, to the Sacramento Food Bank to provide groceries to students at Sac City and their families, Sac City School District. And we continually are promoting the donations and the capacity there. And then the third thing on the bully pulpit is just marketing the needs and what's happening in the community through the mayor's office. Yesterday, and I know Blake will talk about this, the mayor was out at Christian Brothers for a mega distribution. He's been trying to go and eat out once a day. So he's been posting where he's been eating at our local restaurants that have takeout, and he's been taking out and a number of things. So convene, fundraise, and match resources, and use the marketer-in-chief power that Mayor Steinberg has to try to shine a light on what the needs are. As far as some positive stories out of the mayor's office, we launched right away 2 pilot programs to match food delivery to seniors. And since that has launched, we are serving 1,202 seniors meals every week. The first program was 5 senior complexes with a nonprofit partner to deliver meals, and that's been going quite well. The second is another project where we partner 5 restaurants with 11 senior housing complexes. So in total, thousands of meals have been served since all of this started March 14th. And we have a number of proposals ready to go, grant proposals, funding proposals to expand that, because we know the longer our seniors stay homebound, the more they will need. And because we've piloted this, one success is we've heard from the state of California that FEMA will be doing a partnership between restaurants and senior meal delivery. We learned about this on Wednesday. FEMA will reimburse 75% of the cost, the state 25%, and here in Sacramento, we're ready to go. Our restaurants are ready to cook meals. Our seniors are in need, and so we're just waiting for the details on that. Another project that we are trying to launch, and this is another partnership, is grocery delivery to 1,000 seniors a week. And these are the ones that don't qualify for Meals on Wheels or Blake's senior food delivery boxes. We have several grocery stores, including Rayleigh's, that have put together senior staple bags, and we're hoping to partner with some of our driver and delivery companies to deliver those to seniors. They would just call in with a coupon code. Rayleigh's would pull the order. It would go into the delivery and be delivered to the home safely, left at the doorstep. So we're ramping that up, hoping to test that. Another area of need is we have Sac State students who are don't have a safety net. And we're working on a pilot feeding program to deliver food at Sac State and looking at doing that. Because of the weekly convening, we've had a couple of other success stories. One is Paul from Sacto Mofo let us know that he was working on food trucks to serve at truck stops because the truckers are coming, a lot of the restaurants are closed. And because of Paul's advocacy and several others, the governor actually signed an executive order yesterday allowing food trucks to serve at truck stops. We're just waiting for Caltrans now to issue the permits. And I know Paul will be first in line with Sacto Mofo to get those permits to serve our truckers who are delivering essential goods. We've also seen tremendous success from our 5 school districts in the city of Sacramento. Sac City has served 500,000 meals via food distribution at their school sites. Robla is actually delivering by school bus, and they've served thousands of meals to the kiddos that come by foot and bicycle to the bus stops to pick up the food. And this week, Robla delivered school supplies and Chromebooks at 5 school sites that were assembled by the just amazing staff at Robla. And we know Twin Rivers, Elk Grove, and our other districts are doing this amazing work to serve their students. And I want to just talk about one other thing that we're doing. We're launching a data map, which shows where all of the food delivery, the agencies that Blake serves are and where the deserts are, and we'll be working with the teams to pull those together. So the challenges that are coming are the waves, the concentric rings of need that we see that will be served by the food banks and folks like Andrea coming up. Homebound seniors that we need to check on, and we need to make sure that they have food. We've seen unfortunate folks in New York that have been deceased both because of COVID and because they just could not get out to get food, and we do not want any single person to have that happen to here. We know that there are waves of unemployed that we'll need to serve through the mega distributions. We need to fundraise. We need to keep our restaurants in business. I was one of the reviewers for the Midtown grant. 133 restaurants applied for a $1,000 grant, 59 of which were already closed. And we need to figure out a way to keep this vital piece of our economy, our creative economy, alive. And we need to all donate. We need to raise more money for these resources. So my last minute here, how can you support the work that we are doing? The first thing that you can do is stay home. Our chief marketer, Mayor Steinberg, says this every time: stay home, stay safe. You'll keep us all safe. You're doing it for us. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for our mothers and grandfathers. The second is donate to the food banks. They have the system in place to deliver the food to the agencies. So whether it's Placer or El Dorado, Sacramento, if you have extra money, donate it to the food bank. The next is volunteer. Our volunteer site is Hands On Sacramento. If you go there, you'll see all of the opportunities in the region to volunteer. Sign up there. Order a CSA box. We need to keep our farmers and our specialty crops in business here in Farm to Fork region. Whatever you can do, go to the farmers market safely, physical distance, keep our farmers supported. Support your school district. Call the admin office and find out what they need. If they need school supplies, if they need bags, whatever they need, support the school districts. Call a senior, sign up for wellness checks on Hands On Sacramento. Make sure that your neighbors have what they need. And eat at a restaurant, and not just Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Go order lunch on a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday. They need us to keep them in business. And my gratitude on behalf of the mayor to all of those frontline hospital workers, essential workers at our grocery stores, and those that are at our food banks who are doing this tremendous work. And thank you so much to everyone who's logged on to this call. And the mayor is grateful on his behalf from the mayor's office team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. I appreciate it. I know you guys have been extraordinary at trying to move the needle and get things done. Everybody has a need, and there's a lot of moving pieces. You know, it's not just feeding people, it's employment, it's keeping the restaurants alive, it's, you know, addressing everyone's need who's out of work, healthcare issues. You know, it's all coming to light, and everyone needs help right now. So that's a lot. It's a lot to take on. And I'm actually curious, like in the long term, as we kind of project out, you know, things are going to change. There are people who were not so vulnerable 6 weeks ago who are now transitioning into a space where it's a little bit more unknown, and that might continue the longer we stay here. What is your guys' plan kind of looking forward into the next couple months, as, you know, if things return to normal soon, if they don't, what's the strategy?
So that's a very good question, because as I was talking about, the concentric rings of need will keep growing, and it's not going to just be the city's capacity or the Sacramento County's capacity. Now we need to lean in to the state and federal resources that are coming and have every possible grant dollar come into the region. This afternoon, there's a call with all of the council district chiefs of staff, the emergency operations manager, and the mayor's office team, and we'll be aligning with the grants task force that's been stood up under the city manager's auspices, because we know we need to apply, you know, not just for $1, 100,000, but millions of dollars in aid to come into the region. And, you know, my role will be all of the food access grants that we can bring into the region. But literally, a conversation with the mayor was, we need $1 million to come into the food bank, because I know Blake will talk about the supply chain delays. We need to make the order now for those in need 4 weeks from now, because that's how long it's taking. So what we're trying to do is position Sacramento City, Sacramento County for state resources and federal resources. Everything from CalFresh, FEMA grants, specialty crop grants, every dollar that we can bring into the region for food access. That's today's crisis is grant applications. so that a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks from now, we're in a position to keep feeding the vulnerable population. And also looking ahead to a recovery plan. Sacramento, as the farm to fork capital, we have all of these amazing resources. People eat out when they come to the theater, or they go to the Crocker Art Museum, or they come up to go to the American River Parkway. Once those are open, how do we have the restaurants retool and open quickly so that they can serve and employ more? And that's going to be something that we have to work on with a restaurant collaborative, because they have to order the food. They have to rehire their employees that they've had to lay off. Yeah. So it's a recovery plan, and it's bringing in every federal and state grant dollar that we can.
Yeah. Last question. So if people do have resources to donate, or items and things that they can provide that would help, whether that's they have delivery trucks, or they have farmers that have excess food, or distributors that have things, is there someone at the city that they can contact, or
that's me?
That's you.
So anything to do with the food pairing, come into me. So for example, this week Crystal Creamery called and said, we have extra dairy products, matched them. Blake said, I'll take them. We're trying to do that with smaller nonprofits as well, restaurants that have extra food that they want to donate. The Andrea Lepore, who's been doing such wonderful work. It can all come into me, and then we'll make sure it gets to the right person.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you, Julia. I appreciate you taking the morning. We'll hope we do an update maybe in a couple weeks and hear how things are going, and good luck with everything that you have on your plate right now.
Thank you, Emma.
Awesome. All right. So the next person we're going to bring up is Blake Young. Blake is the president and CEO of the Sacramento Food Bank. Pre-COVID, Sacramento Food Bank was serving about 150,000 individuals at 220 agencies. Since then, like many of the restaurants, they've had to pivot their programs and adjust to this new reality. And I know, Blake, you have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to give you the floor to kind of talk to us about what's going on and what you're doing.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for all who are on this call and video. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Julia. She's done a tremendous job, and she's got a lot of balls up in the air, as all of us do, but she's done it very gracefully, and she's done a great job. So Julia, there is my plug for the day. You are right now my little hero. So thank you. So you did a good job of kind of setting us up. We pre-COVID, we have 220 partners and serving about 150,000 folks a month. And so our primary responsibility pre-COVID, like Dave will talk about, is really being the wholesaler, if you will, and providing food to all these agencies to provide food to the end user. We maintain our own direct distributions because there's such a gap in our food insecure numbers. For example, there's 215,000 people in Sacramento County who are food insecure. And through our efforts and the efforts of the 220 partner agencies, we're reaching roughly 150,000 people. So that's kind of pre-COVID. We had to pivot very quickly, and it was such a blessing to get so much support so quickly. And some of you had heard that because most food banks or food programs, the majority of their volunteers are seniors, we had a 70% decline in volunteership. At the same time, we needed to ramp up. We didn't know triple our capacity, but we had to ramp up very quickly. So we were blessed to have the California National Guard, blessed to have the California Conservation Corps. And these were two groups of folks that could come in every single day consistently, stay for long periods of time, and help us ramp up. So they had logistics expertise, they had driving expertise, they had inventory. And so we were able to begin ramping up very quickly. One thing that we did do, thank God, right when this thing hit, is order a ton of food. And we did not know that, as Julia mentioned, the supply chain, the food supply chain got kinked really quick because folks went to the grocery stores en masse and bought so many things. unintended consequence for food banks and grocery stores was that, let's say Sacramento Food Bank ordered 5 truckloads of food. Generally to our door, it would be there in 5 days. Well, now it's taken 3 to 4 weeks. So that was a huge hiccup that we had to really be mindful of. What does our inventory look like? How fast is our output? And we got a lot of tremendous help from a myriad of folks. Rayleigh's comes to mind right away, a lot of farmers. We had a tremendous amount of food already in the supply chain coming to us, so that was a true blessing. What we found, though, one of our biggest challenges is out of the 220 partner agencies, roughly 60% closed the doors because they had such a difficult time staying open because their volunteers are senior citizens, and we really wanted the senior citizens at that point to stay home. So we analyzed the emergency food system and the folks that were a part of it, and we identified about 35 agencies that really could ramp up capacity. And as we were continuing to feed the agencies that were staying open, we looked at these 30 that could build capacity really quickly, and we focused, kind of like the mayor's office on their weekly convening. We began convening these agencies to try to get them more food, to try to get them more resources, to try to get them masks, to try to get them volunteers, things that they need. So as we're ramping up all of the food to go out on deliveries, that they could handle it. And so that's been very successful. And I can tell you that if I was to say a success story, I would give an incredible shout out and appreciation to the agencies like River City and others that have done just a wonderful job and who are overwhelmed. You can imagine 220 agencies going down to 80. I mean, they saw a tremendous increase. What we also found is that because we are really good and have a lot of experience in direct distributions, we started analyzing areas of Sacramento County that we might be able to do what we call a mega drive-through walk-up distribution. And we landed on Encina High School, and we landed on Christian Brothers High School. And so, and Julia was able to see yesterday, but we were, so thankful that we had support from the California Highway Patrol, the National Guard, the Sheriff's Office, et cetera, that came, Team Rubicon that came out and helped us because it was such a huge logistical challenge trying to get this many people. And I'm really pleased to note that Tuesday at Encina High, we served over 4,000 people in 2.5 hours, and Christian Brothers followed suit. And we will be doing these mega distributions every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So make sure if you can to get the word out to people that are in need, that these are free food distributions. And we'll be doing them every Tuesday, Thursday. Tuesday at Encina High, Thursday at Christian Brothers. At this point, we're really already focused on post-COVID. I mean, when I say we, the emergency food system is already, the community is so reliant on people that volunteer and utilize food programs. And we know that one of the unintended consequences of this crisis for all of us was how many people were going to be displaced from employment. And so we have so many new people that are visiting food programs. And on the one hand, it's an honor to be able to serve them because most of this will be fairly short-term. Short-term meaning it could be 6 months to a year. But keep in mind that there's a lot of people, seniors, young children, single moms with children that are going to continue to be in need. So post-COVID for us is like, what does the supply chain look like? What does our financial resources look like? Because we're being just the demand has exploded so much. We're really, really mindful of what the demand and what the output is going to cost. And the fact that We know that, as Julia referenced, this thing's going to go on for a while. So people that were vulnerable, we know we have to serve. People that may be short-term vulnerable are not going to go back to work tomorrow and start everything's hunky-dory. So, I mean, we're already looking into next year to ensure that we're sustainable and that other food programs are sustainable. Let's see here. Success stories. Well, that in itself is that the emergency food system has not broke. The partner agencies of ours have ramped up operations. Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services is going to continue to analyze where there are deserts, if you will, and disruptions in the distribution sites, and try to erect these larger distributions to try to nourish Sacramento as much as possible. Another success story, and I mentioned it before, is just seeing so many people at our distributions and talking to our partner agency leaders that see brand new people they've never seen before. And on the one hand, it's very sad, but on the other hand, it's really gratifying that we can be there for them. And it just touches your heart to be able to do that. What can folks do? I think Julia said it great. I mean, obviously, Yolo Food Bank, all the food banks are going to need additional resources. We know this thing's going to go on for quite some time. People can volunteer. You know, it's not just volunteer for Sacramento Food Bank in our case, it's also all of our partner agencies. You can go to our website. You can take a look at where our emergency response agencies are located. And if you're at home wondering what to do, we know that volunteering is an acceptable activity. Go to a food program in your area, make contact with them, and go volunteer. I mean, it'll be very gratifying, and there's a lot of camaraderie that you can establish there, new people you can meet, et cetera. So, I want to again thank just the community for the outpouring of support. And I just want to emphasize that, and again, Julia said it well, we're going to be in this thing for quite some time. And it's just not the emergency food system. We have found out now that food is such a basic element, and food is medicine. And so, from our point of view, a more well-nourished community is a more productive community, whether they're working or not. I mean, we know that in this situation, people that are homebound or people that are just uncertain, a lot of crazy things can happen, a lot of mental health issues, et cetera. So, we just want to be a part of the team that tries to nourish Sacramento during this time, but be a part of the solution moving forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's just exponentially going to keep growing, and people's needs going to keep growing until this settles down. We heard from Chelsea Minor a couple weeks ago when we were discussing the food system and food banking, and are people being irrational going to stores and bulk buying and doing this thing? And, I asked if should we be concerned about a shortage in the supply chain? And her concern more was that, I don't think we're going to run out of food. I think people's ability to access food is going to become a bigger challenge. People are not, they're going to start missing paychecks. People are going to become, who've never experienced food insecurity or kind of were on the border of that, are going to start moving into this new community and population of people that, need to access these services. And I'm curious if people, a lot of people who've never gone to food bank or have never applied for SNAP benefits or CalFresh or programs, where can they go to learn more, whether or not they qualify, or know where to go for Encina High School's drop off, or Christian Brothers, or other locations closer to them if they lack transportation or other ways to get access to your services?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the most important, people that need food. Well, and I'll say, first of all, we want to convey to people out there, and I hope the listeners can convey it to people that are in need. We don't want people to be embarrassed. There is so many people that have never accessed a food program that either have for the short term or will. And we just want to make sure that whether it's us or our partner agencies, we serve with dignity, and we keep in mind that people are scared and they're uncertain. With our website, it's kind of unique in that we have a food finder for people. So if you go on our website, sacramentofoodbank.org, and click on the emergency response agency, you're going to find lots of food programs in your area with very detailed information. And we keep that up to date because things have changed. Some agencies closed and they're getting ready to reopen because they were able to pivot. Many closed and don't have the opportunity to do that. So we want to make sure that people contact the agency that's by their home and go to it. Our mega distributions, if you will, are on our website as well. And there's a unique opportunity for people to just wherever they live to get extra food, because this is, again, a unique situation. I mean, we have moms that were working, that kids went through the school districts, were taken care of through the meal program. Now we're at home. The kids are eating a ton of food. Mom's scared, doesn't know what to do. And so we want to encourage people it's a new situation here. So as many food programs as you can go to during this time to alleviate the uncertainty, we want you to be able to do that. And we want to be able to serve people as much as possible. So Encina High every Tuesday, Christian Brothers every Thursday. We're going to continue to analyze the food system right now, the emergency food system. And if an area of Sacramento County becomes really short with food distribution sites, we're probably going to erect another one.
Perfect. Well, that's great to hear. And if you do visit your website, there is a donation button and donate now button on your Sacramento County Food Bank. So definitely people, if you have extra and you want to donate and support, please go visit that website. They could use it. Everyone could use it. Thank you, Blake, so much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go because I know you had a cut off. But hopefully, like I said earlier to Julia, we can check in a couple weeks and see what's happening and talk more about what you're seeing on the ground. So thank you again.
Thank you for the opportunity. Awesome.
All right, so our next guest, Joy Cohran from Yolo Food Bank. She is the Director of Philanthropic Engagement, has an extensive background in philanthropic advocacy. Yolo Food Bank serves about 52,000 individuals in 19,000 households in their pursuit to end hunger and malnutrition in Yolo County. So welcome, Joy. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about the Yolo Food Bank and what you guys are seeing in your community these last few weeks? Oh, your audio. Oh, 1 second. You're muted. Oh, you're muted. Could you try to mute yourself and then unclick and see if that works? No. Oh, hold on. Let's see here. Let me see if I can troubleshoot you. Thank you, everyone. Oh, it doesn't look like your audio is connected. Let's see here. There you go. All right. I'm going to ask you to start your video one more time.
Okay.
Perfect. There you go. Technology. This is great.
Hold on one sec. All right, you still hear me?
I can hear you great.
Wonderful. All right, sometimes things get out of sync. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
I was saying, Emma, thank you for having me, and I want to thank both Julia and Blake for setting the stage so well. I think there's definitely a benefit to going third sometimes.
Oh, it's awesome. Well, we're very interested to hear about Yolo County. I know it's, we're in Sacramento, you're a little bit across the causeway, but Yolo includes West Sacramento, Davis, Woodland, but also, a lot of rural areas, Winters, Esparto, Belinda, really hard to reach people if you're not located centrally. So
Absolutely.
A very population that needs to, still needs assistance and help. So I'm very interested to hear what's going on with you guys.
Well, absolutely. So, pre-COVID, certainly us being a rural county certainly has many challenges. And so we're mindful of the fact that, especially during this time of COVID-19 crisis, these rural folks are harder to reach than ever. So I'm not going to go too far into what we were doing pre-COVID, other than to say we have a facility being us to move quickly. Our capacity expansion has,
think you cut out just a little bit.
Okay, are you hearing me all right?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, all right. Moving into a new facility a year ago certainly set the stage for us to achieve we're serving right now the need for people in COVID-19 environment. So if I look back to the March 9th, we knew at that time that going to need to shift radically, that there would need to be a great adaptation and expansion of our service model in order to meet the need in the community. During the week of March 9th, we began to make the connections that were required to activate that work. We partnered with the Yolo County Office of Emergency Services, and we are the lead organizing agency for emergency food response in Yolo County. As part of that effort, we knew that the senior citizens and the medically fragile in our community were going to have to shelter in place and do so very strictly and do that first. So we looked at our service delivery model and thought, where can we expand to meet that need? So in pretty short order, we developed an emergency food home delivery program and launched that program on March 13th with the first deliveries beginning the week of March 16th. We've now completed 5 weeks of that program, and that program is now serving on a weekly basis about 2,000 households and about 4,200 individuals in every part of Yolo County. We have a weekly delivery schedule for each geographic region of the county. In addition to that, in partnership with the County of Yolo, we are providing 3 meals a day delivered daily to at-risk homeless individuals whom they are sheltering in motel rooms primarily in Woodland, Davis, and West Sacramento. And we're preparing ready-to-eat meals at the food bank since most of these individuals just have microwaves or mini fridges at best. So we're preparing those back at the food bank and packaging them for delivery. And we've got an awesome partnership going with Yolo Bus, who has drivers and vehicles that are not in use due to reduced routes. So they are helping to deliver this food. So that's a second additional program that we have added. But the partnerships, I want to step back to the emergency food home deliveries. The partnerships there have just been amazing. I mean, Blake touched on the fact that volunteerism was a challenge at the beginning of this. We also had noticed about a 40% decrease in volunteers going into that week of March 9th. But through our social media efforts in particular, we have amassed about 700 new volunteers. And that came to us just really in the first week. We were reaching out for assistance. The community's been amazingly generous, but we've also added partnerships and built upon existing partnerships with folks like Farm Fresh to You, who have allowed us to avail ourselves of their vehicles and drivers to activate some of this emergency food home delivery. We have also worked with VIA in West Sacramento, their transportation system there, for similar support. And most amazingly of all, UC Davis has literally lent us one of their employees, Rob Davis, who's the former mayor of Davis, who works in the Global Affairs Department at UC Davis. He came on board for a temporary period that will extend through the end of this month as our COVID-19 response coordinator. And so his efforts have been critical to the launching and the success of the emergency food home delivery program. But we haven't forgotten about our traditional food distributions. They remain as important and essential as ever, just as would a trip to the grocery store. I think a little bit unlike Sacramento Food Bank pre-COVID, Direct distributions were 2/3 of that 6 million pounds of food a year we're moving. 2/3 of that goes out through our direct distributions in every pocket of the county. And about 1/3 goes out through our nonprofit partner organization network, which in Yolo County is 72 partners strong. So those direct distributions remained as important as ever. But we did need to shift things a bit to adapt for social distancing measures. So we have had the support of County of Yolo personnel to help us maintain a 6-foot distancing to the extent possible. In the lines for our distributions and at the distribution tables, we've moved to a bagged food model at those distributions. Some of the larger distributions, we've moved to a drive-up distribution model. We've also, in the midst of this, added 2 new large-scale distributions. Much as Blake referenced in Sacramento, we've added a major distribution every Saturday morning at West Sacramento City Hall. We also added a Saturday afternoon distribution at Davis Community Church, which is in the heart of downtown Davis, right across from the Saturday Davis Farmers Market. So another critical location in West Sacramento and Davis were underserved to begin with. So we really ramping up those distributions has been important. We have provided support through our nonprofit network. However, they did experience declines in volunteerism and other challenges to their service delivery. Stake in Davis, Short-Term Emergency Aid Committee, we have loaned them some volunteers from the robust supply that we were able to gather. And Yolo County Children's Alliance needed assistance to continue to have a food distribution on Friday mornings in West Sacramento at their Todd Hunter Avenue location. So we have taken on the execution of that weekly distribution for a very, you know, a neighborhood and a community that are very much in need. So the success, you know, certainly are the number of people, the number of new people we are able to serve, particularly with this home delivery program. And that has been, we know that we're filling a need and literally saving lives in doing so. Challenges and sticking points, it's funding and it's volunteers. On the funding front, you know, all of this is a heavy, heavy lift. The adaptation, the expansion of the service model. And we've dipped into our operational reserves in order to affect these enhancements to our service. And so we are very much have our eye on every possible funding source. It keeps me busy day and night, as it does our whole team. We really have a culture of philanthropy at Yolo Food Bank. And so that's funding is critical. The community's been very generous in stepping up, but it's about a $200,000 a month investment to keep this rolling. We've had to source, you know, look into new food sources, you know, activate our food donor network and do food purchases as well. So that's all an extremely heavy lift. Funding is critical. And just as Blake mentioned, we do have our eye on the post-COVID period where the economic downturn is going to result in us needing to serve yet more people than we were pre-COVID. Even when some of this emergency response goes away, our usual services are going to be more in demand than ever. Volunteers, although we've done very well at amassing quite a cadre of volunteers and new volunteers at that, you know, we are cycling through volunteers. People themselves get ill, they have ill family members, they have childcare issues. Maybe they're now able to go back to work in some fashion from home and their availability has changed. So we are having to bring new volunteers, engage new volunteers into our work every week. So both the funds and the volunteers, people can help by going to www.yolofoodbank.org. That's your source for supporting us financially, supporting us with time. And it's also where you can connect with our direct distributions and our other food resources around the county, where you can register for boxes and look at and see where our direct distributions are around the county. So we're hopeful that people will avail themselves of these resources, and if they're not seeing what they need, reach out to us. As Blake mentioned, we don't have any qualifications for any of our programs. We ask that you meet the criteria for the home delivery boxes, but there's no hard, income qualifications. We don't ask questions. We don't ask if you're a citizen, and we want to remove all the barriers and all the stigma, especially at this time.
Amazing. Well, it is amazing work that you're doing, and we're very grateful for all of it. I know that you guys have a very unique situation, that you have a lot of rural counties to cover, which make it really difficult, transportation wise and accessing those individuals. I know you probably have a whole new population of individuals, especially coming maybe from the student population from Davis, everyone from across your region is in need, and everyone's need is great and critical. So thank you. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with us. I apologize for the technical difficulty, but you did great. And we hope to hear from you soon. And in the sake of time, I'm going to hold questions for right now. But if you do have questions, please leave them in the chat box. We will do our best to answer them. After the webinar, we'll connect with the speakers and try to get you the most relevant and up-to-date information possible. So thank you, Joy. Have a great rest. Good luck.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so the next speaker that we're going to bring up is Dave Martinez from Placer Food Bank. Placer Food Bank is the lead hunger charity for Placer, El Dorado, and Nevada counties. They work to provide services not only through direct distribution, but also work with about 60 agencies to connect with those in need. So I don't think Dave's video was up, but we do have him on the line. Dave, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Apologize for the no video. I'm kind of in rural El Dorado County, pulled off to the side of the road right now.
Oh, no worries. I think, Valley Vision works a lot on rural broadband initiatives and issues as well. So I think that this is probably very indicative of, why we still need rural broadband connectivity and internet access all around, especially in rural areas. But we are so glad you had the time to talk with us today.
Thank you very much.
Really interested in hearing on what's going on your side. You guys are a little bit further north. I would assume you guys are also a little bit rural, much like Yolo, but also have very, urban areas where you guys have people in need, and curious about how you guys are addressing those community issues.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I appreciate you inviting us onto this call. So Placer Food Bank is a Feeding America food bank that does cover Placer, El Dorado, and Nevada County. So we cover roughly 4,500 square miles from Sacramento all the way up to and including North and South Lake Tahoe. So it's a fairly large area. And it's interesting because our most of our masses actually are in the South Placer area. And that's where we have a majority of our agencies actually are located in that South Placer area. So, we serve about 90,000 individuals a month in the three counties. We have seen about 25% uptick in the amount of folks that are requesting services. And so far, knock on wood, our agency network has been holding up. We have not had very many agencies go by the wayside, and those that have had to close their doors. We've had agencies that are a bit of redundancy that's built in that allows folks to go in a very short proximity to another larger agency. And much like what Blake said and Joy has said, and I appreciate everything that was already disclosed originally about the way we operate as a food bank is, as long as our network agency is still up and running strong, it's buying us just a little bit of time to get prepared for the mass distributions like what Blake is doing. And so having said that, we were fortunate to have great partners like Rayleigh's that did allow us to have a certain amount of inventory still existing in our warehouse. So, but our burn rate right now is probably at a point where we could empty out our inventory in probably 3 to 4 weeks. So that next inflow of product that's going to come in, and I think we're really hopeful to see what USDA does as well. I think FEMA, USDA are going to be an integral part to piece this together. But we're prepared for distributions that would occur from the Galleria. We've gotten approval to do mass distributions there. We could also set them up at William Jessup that would push us more towards the Lincoln area. And then Bayside has also allowed for the larger distributions to occur there. Much like what the other food banks have already shared, we push over 7 million pounds through our network agency, and another probably couple of million goes through our direct services. So we're still very active in our farmers market, but they're drive-through now. We have upped quite a bit in El Dorado County. El Dorado County is a much larger county than Placer County, and its unique issues are they have very, very little emergency food closets in that county. So we're having to spend much more time in El Dorado County doing multiple drive-through drops up there. And we foresee having to triple the output. Their numbers are roughly about 30,000 food insecure. We expect it to double. So that's why I'm spending so much time in El Dorado County right now where I'm at, just trying to help survey places. As you know, you deal with mountains. It's very hard to do drive-throughs in the mountains. But I mean, at the end of the day, being a part of Feeding America, having relationships like with Rayleigh's and the rest of the retailers, being a USDA for our county and Placer allows us the array of food that we really need. And so I think that what's been shared, and the one part I want to echo, is we're really concerned about post-COVID. With the unemployment numbers going up, we're really a little concerned about how long the sustainability is we're gonna be required of us to keep up with a 20 to 50% increase in the amount of folks that we serve. Those directly relate to pounds that have to flow out of the food bank. And so we're still working very closely with the 3 counties for folks that are eligible for CalFresh. It's another good way. Some really neat things that have occurred for us is we have had the National Guard come out. It's called Team Rubicon. They're the ones that showed up, but we've also had Bayside Church has been offering volunteers upwards to 40 per day to help us keep up with the need. And so they have also stepped up and are doing, we've now piloting and we're now doing drops to seniors' houses, shut-ins and things like that. So that is a new program that we are involved with. We're working really closely with our seniors, Seniors First in Placer County to really kind of address that population. In Placer County, we have a very large senior population. And I think that's, that population's been well kept for quite a while. I think it's really is the undetermined force that's going to step up that we weren't expecting. And so I think that the whole shut-in piece is going to be, is really going to weigh heavy on our operations on how we accomplish that. And thank goodness. So I think that, at the end, if folks want to volunteer and are willing to drop food, I think that's really going to be a plus for what we're going to need to see happen.
If people are interested in volunteering with your guys' food bank, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can go to our website, placerfoodbank.org. Folks can also type in their zip code and get a listing of who the recipient agencies are in that area. There's also a volunteer page and they can connect with our volunteer coordinator.
That's amazing. Awesome. And then I'm just curious, with being such a senior heavy kind of population, are you guys working on direct delivery services and working with transportation companies? And how are you guys working on
ours is really grassroots through the churches. We've got churches like Destiny and Bayside and some very large churches, and people are really anxious to volunteer and to make those deliveries happen. That's really where we're seeing our solution is really forming with that. So
yeah,
we're going to keep those up.
Yeah, people I think tend to forget, churches are a great resource of, people willing and wanting to do good and help the community. And so, tapping into that as a resource for you guys was, that's very lucky that you have that.
Yeah, it's really worked out very well for us. So I think there's another effort that's going on right now that we're exploring, and that's to do the restaurants. We're looking at pushing some funding to support the restaurants making meals. I think that our greater Sacramento area really has a strong restaurant profile, and we would like to figure out a way to make sure and support that, and especially if there's a good matchup with folks that are shut in. I think that really is a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely, and that's such a good first. Thank you for joining us, and I think that is a great segue into speaking with our next speakers. Dave, I wish you all the best, and again, like I've said to everyone else, I would look forward to checking in with you later and seeing how things are going. I would suggest we do here in Sacramento. We have something called Family Program. We have the work that Andrea is doing that are really trying to pivot restaurants into helping communities. So I would love to get you in touch with them after this to discuss what they're doing and the models that they're using to kind of put that through. So you can have that, when you go into those conversations.
Thank you. Appreciate
awesome.
that.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Awesome. So next we're going to talk to Andrea Lepore. Andrea is the founder of Lepore Development and has also the founder of Solomon's, which is this great restaurant in downtown Sacramento. Highly suggest you go there for a pastrami sandwich once this is over and support the restaurant. So like many other restaurants, Andrea has pivoted to support her staff and to support the community by preparing meals for most vulnerable community members, those who are the homeless, the elderly citizens, and medically fragile. So we're going to hear from her what she's doing. Andrea, you're making 200 meals a day, distributing them to the community?
Yeah, we're actually up to 500 now a day. And as you said, we had to close down on March 17th, and the next morning we were already up and running and making meals, as you said, for medically fragile, unsheltered, and some of the board and care locations around town. So there's about 25 sites that Sacramento covered community health workers are delivering to. So it's been a little challenging, obviously, having to close the restaurant, and when we're not doing this, I'm working on kind of new strategies and plans for when we are able to reopen, because it won't be, like the governor said, it's not going to be like turning on a light switch. So there's going to be a new normal that we have to adjust to and make a restaurant different.
Yeah.
I was reading a report today that said about 80% of all restaurateurs don't know how they're going to make it. So.
And it's an unfortunate fact. I know that we've seen a lot of legislation come through with not a lot of support for the restaurant industry and restaurant workers, and that is extremely disappointing. A lot of places that have closed their doors temporarily, we're hearing now that more likely or not is not going to be a permanent situation, and how we come back from that is going to be a huge lift. How many staff were you able to keep on to help you?
So you can see behind me, we've got 4 employees on. How well you can see with this camera, but we're here every Monday through Fridays, around 7 to 8 a.m. in the morning till about between 1 and 2. And like I said, we're doing 500 meals a day. Sacramento Covered really did all the heavy lifting and raised the money within 24 hours. So we're fully funded to about 15,000 meals in total till about June 1st. So
yes, I'm interested to hear more about how you were able to connect with partners and connect with the funding. I think that's a big, that's a big request right now from a lot of people wanting to get involved, is they don't know how to even navigate asking or setting up requests to, have funding and donations made so that they can do something like this, employ their staff, feed the community. And who are you working with?
Yeah, it's difficult, and funding is always difficult, and especially in this scenario. But like I said, Sacramento Covered reached out to their partners, and they have some great relationship and great history with the health system partners, Sutter and Kaiser and Dignity and UC Davis. And so they all immediately jumped in and funded immediately. So
yeah, it's definitely, I mean, so regional effort, everyone's stepping in, and I've heard these other, these same institutions donating across the board, doing what they can. Sutter, all the medical health institutions, universities, they all have staff and students and employees all affected. I think they all recognize that this is, a much needed thing, and what you're doing is supporting those who can't even support themselves. And I think the population you're targeting, we have a vulnerable community of populations. We tend to think of, women and children, but especially when it comes to homeless and the medically vulnerable, those are on the fringe ends of those who tend to get overlooked and neglected, especially in times like these. So, be sure that they have the basics, which is being fed. That's a huge lift for, 6 people in a kitchen making, what's 15,000
right.
meals.
I mean, it was very important, as Julie mentioned at the beginning, to make sure that the homeless, the unsheltered were either got them shelter or they were able to shelter in place. And so, they can stay in the location that they're in. And that is critical, especially as you're, trying to not spread any virus.
Yeah. So you mentioned 15,000 meals. In the long term, are you foreseeing, planning this out for the next couple weeks? What happened, next month? How long do you think you could actually feasibly continue this program?
Well, like I said, we're funded until June 1st, is what we've projected based on our current funding. We have done a couple little fundraisers during Passover. We did an ball soup, and today we're doing pastrami, basically family style. So they get a loaf of bread and 4 pounds of pastrami and things like that, just to help the program as well as obviously keep our name out there, and there is some demand out there. We're also doing bottled cocktails as a fundraiser for musicians and DJs and sound engineers. That we had a whole the restroom was booked all the way through June with concerts and events, and so obviously those were all shut down as well. So that was a major impact for our creative industry here.
That's awesome. If people were interested in donating, supporting, giving to the work you're doing, where can they go? Where can they find more information?
Sure, they can go to sacramentocovered.org, and all the information is on the website.
Awesome. And you mentioned the cocktails. Those are pickup, delivery. People.
Yeah, we're actually doing more batches right now. But
so those of you who don't know or haven't heard, ABC has kind of laxed the rules. Alcohol is deliverable now, so Solomon can take care of your needs come 5 o'clock or earlier. For those of you who are quarantining at home, support your
between 12 and 2, we're doing what's called the Tel Aviv lemonade, which is a vodka-based drink. And we got people calling already. And then we're doing the employee 329, which was Russ's employee number, ironically, even though he was employee number 1. But the Manhattan was his favorite drink. So we're bottling both of those cocktails. And you have to sell them with food, but like I said, they benefit our local creative community.
And they can order that through the Solomon's website.
Correct. Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy. We're going to let you go. Good luck. And we'll hope to check back in later and hear how you guys are doing.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, that concludes this episode of Farm to Fork Live. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to encourage you guys to sign up for our Food for Thought newsletter. I'm going to throw up a slide shortly with some information for volunteering that we've gotten through the city. It was at Hands On Sacramento. If you guys are interested in spreading the word or finding ways that you can volunteer. Also a link, information about where you can find this episode. We're going to be posting to YouTube. You can find all of our Farm to Fork Live episodes up there, and other Valley Vision webinars that we're going to be hosting in the coming weeks, as well as how to sign up for our newsletter. So thank you again for joining, And again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat box. I'm going to do my best to answer them and make sure you get a response. This episode should be up this afternoon. So welcome to share it with your networks. Welcome to share with your partners. We listen, get in the information that you need, and we hope to see you next time. So thank you again.